China is for China. China is not for Africa. How can an African be a foreigner in an African country? To gain mentality, we need to let go of the influence of the West, who were still colonized under white supremacists. Hello. What's up, my people? Good day. Welcome to FKU Africa Podcast. Fikiria kwa undani. This is your host, Maneza F8, down here in South Africa. I just want to appreciate everyone that has been supporting this podcast and the people that subscribed recently. And make sure that when you come to the podcast, you don't just watch and leave. Make sure that you leave that comment. It is very, very important to have your comments so that we can talk about things. Most of y'all, what you do, you just get to WhatsApp and start WhatsApping me and leave me comments on WhatsApp and on Facebook inbox. That's not the way we should be doing it. We should be commenting on YouTube so that we can engage other people on the conversations. So yeah, please subscribe. And thanks to those that have subscribed. Check out the podcast on Spotify and also on Apple Podcast. So yeah, today we're gonna be talking about Honorable Dr. Nelson Mandela. We're gonna be answering the question in the comments that we're gonna be asking in this episode. The question is: was Nelson Mandela a hero, or was Nelson Mandela a sellout? What is your thought about it? What are you saying? So we're not going to be dwelling much on his life because it has been covered a lot of times. We're just going to give you brief of his struggle, a brief of his engagement into the movement, the Pan-African movements that has been brewing in the early 40s to the late 60s. So yeah, we're going to be talking about those without wasting time. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm talking about Nelson Mandela. He was born on the 18th of July 1918 in a small village called Umvezo in Umtata in the Eastern Cape in South Africa. So he was born in that village in the royal house. He was groomed to be a king one day. Back in those days, school and education, degrees and all that, those things were not important to the people who were living in those ages. In those days, that was not important because black people back then, they were rich with resources. They were rich with land, with animals, with vegetations, with everything. They didn't need you to go to school and become and whatever. They could take care of themselves. They could heal themselves. They had court cases that they would hold themselves. So they didn't need doctors. They didn't need lawyers. They didn't need engineers. They could do all those things by themselves. So that's why they didn't promote these things of going to school. But Nelson Mandela thought it was a good idea for him to go to school. And since he was growing up in the royal house, his father thought it was good for him to go to school so he can learn the ways of the West, because the West was gaining popularity more and more in the Eastern Cape. So in 1925 he went to primary school. I remember then he was still Rholihlahla. So at school the mistress was a white woman, and that white woman couldn't pronounce his name because it's kind of difficult. The closer name is Rholihlahla and it's dragging for her. So she said, "You know what, Rholihlahla, from now on you are Nelson." So that's why you know him as Nelson Mandela. That white woman is the one that gave him that name. So going forward from there, he attended primary school, he did good. In 1930, his father dies. That's gonna hit hard. His father dies. He's still 12. And his family, the elders from his family went to entrusted him with another king of Abatembu, King Jongintaba Dalindyebo. That's where he was taught by the elders, grooming him, morals, values, ethics of being a man, being a king, all those responsibility that comes into being a king. That's where he was being groomed. So from then, he went to attend a college. He did law. In 1940, he went to enroll at Fort Hare in Alice in the Eastern Cape. And just in the following year, he was expelled because he was going against those white dominant rules. He was believing that he was having none of that. He was new to that because where he was studying, it was a black only school. There were no kind of segregations, oppressions, the apartheid. He was new to that kind of environment where you have to stay there away from the white people. You must use these kind of restrooms. These are reserved for white people. You must go to these kind of classes, and the white people must go to those kind of classes. So that frustrated him, obviously. So he was challenging everything. So they expelled him. So what he does when he was getting expelled, he thought it was a good idea for him to go to Joburg. He went to Joburg. He was started working as a security guard in a mining firm in Joburg, and then later on in 1942, he joined a law firm doing articles, and during that time he enrolled. He did his BA in University of South Africa, UNISA, and in 1942 he started to attend the ANC, which is African National Congress, the political party that was the movement that was fighting against the oppression back then in here in South Africa. So what he did during that time, he went to attend the meetings, but not official. He was staying at the back, couldn't understand what was going on. He was kind of new to this system. He didn't know that there's these people who are fighting for the liberation of the people on the sides, on the dark. So that thing fascinated him. That thing gave him a purpose, because you could see the way that people they were living back in those times. So when he watched those meetings, when he saw those comrades, he became motivated to want to be a part of that. So At that time, he was busy with his BA also at Forte, and also when he finishes in 1943, he went to do his LLB at Wits, University of Witwatersrand in Joburg. In 1944, he was now deep into the politics, attending meetings. Him and a few young people saw that the ANC, the way that they were doing things, they were kind of getting nowhere slowly, because they were into talking, trying to engage with the government, trying to negotiate what was going on, and trying to get a position into the elections and all that kind of stuff. But white people, they were having none of that. So Mandela and his fellow youth people, they saw that this thing is taking us nowhere, very, very slow. So they started the ANC Youth League. That was the beginning of his political triumph. So he became the Mandela that you know now because of that step. That's where it goes up deep, because that youth league was not a laughing matter. They were fighting the fight. They were bombing the streets, the restaurant, and all that. As soon as white people went to kill people in the location, they would arrange some kind of bombs and go and bomb them wherever they were staying, because they would retaliate. Because white people, they were not playing back then. They were not playing. They were killing people in numbers. They were not playing. They were not playing with you. They would kill you. So that youth league became the resistance, the real resistance towards those white people, the white dominant government. So during all that, he became the national secretary in 1948, and in 1951 he became the president of the ANC Youth League. In 1952 he was arrested for the defiance campaign. He was arrested for the first time. He was now 34 years at that time. So when he was arrested and spent 27 years, it was not the first time. He was arrested before and spent the 9 months in prison doing the hard labor, and he was released. And when he was released in the same year, in 1952, he became the deputy president of the ANC now. He was bringing that ruthlessness, he was bringing that hardcore fighting to the ANC, because all those guys that he was with in the ANC Youth League, they were coming with him. So he became the deputy president of the Youth League. In 1956, he was arrested. There were 155 of them when he was being arrested in KZN. However, at that time, now, when he was arrested, he was sentenced for 5 years, but then he was acquitted. In 1960, the ANC was banned. White people say, no, this ANC now is getting too much. It's causing havoc. We're no longer going to tolerate them. We ban it. So whatever actions that you took, they wanted to give themselves a license so that they can kill everyone that is associated with ANC. So if they heard that there was a meeting somewhere, they would go and raid the place and get 1 or 2 people and squeeze the information out of them, and eventually they would release the information and tell them that, oh, this one was there, this one was there, and the one will tell. They would go and kill all of them. They didn't play. So ANC was banned, and now when ANC is banned, what is going to happen? It's going to be an underground movement. So at that time, when it was an underground movement, people have to go to exile. The neighboring countries, go to Botswana, go to Kenya, Tanzania, up to the north, some of them. Some they went to Ghana, some they went up to Morocco, straight up to London, running from the police. Some they were sent by their fathers to London, to America to go and study, because they saw that in order for you to get into the position of power, you need to start, equip yourself so that you will understand the way that the world runs and the economy of the world runs. So when he was arrested in 1962, now again, and now in 1964 he was arrested for what is now known as a Rivonia trial, the famous Rivonia trial, that he was arrested with Walter Sisulu and Rumhlangeni, Katrada, and all these guys that they were with him in Robben Island. It's where that he made this famous speech.
Our fight is against real and not imaginary hardships, or to use the language of the state prosecutor, so-called hardships. South Africa is the richest country in Africa and could be one of the richest countries in the world, but it is a land of extremes and remarkable contrasts. The whites enjoy what may well be the highest standard of living in the world, whilst Africans live in poverty and misery. Poverty goes hand in hand with malnutrition and disease. The incidence of malnutrition and deficiency diseases is very high amongst Africans. The incidence of infant mortality is one of the highest in the world. The lack of human dignity experienced by Africans is the direct result of the policy of white supremacy. White supremacy implies black inferiority. Legislation designed to preserve white supremacy entrenches this notion. I have dedicated my life to this struggle of the African people. I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the idea of a democratic and free society in which all persons will live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an idea for which I hope to live for and to see realized. But my Lord, if it needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die.
Never, ever, never shall it be. That's where you make the speech that you will rather die and die for something that is valuable. Our freedom, people's freedom, you rather die. So he was accused, number one, they were charging him for terrorism, all the kind of things, going out of the country without the passport, going in and out of the country, all the kind of things. They put on these charges, they arrested him in 1964, yes, he went to Robben Island. And that's where he spent a good amount of time. And now in 1982, he was transferred to Polsmoor. Polsmoor is the biggest prison in Cape Town, just the side of Tukai, next to Westlake. Not really in Cape Town, but a little bit outside of Cape Town to the coast. So he spent time there. Him and the 14 others of his accused. Dr. Sisulu was there. Andrew Mlangeni was there. Gavin Mbeki was there, I think. So when he was sent to Robben Island, they wanted to begin the negotiations. They saw that people they are not stopping. People, they were not stopping. The movement was going on. People were bringing havoc. Remember in the Shovel Massacre, remember Soweto Uprising in 1976, remember in 1985 in Cape Town, remember some of the activities that were happening in Soweto during the 80s. So there are many activities. Remember the Women March. There are many activities that are happening now. They see that people are getting fed up and they are losing now the trust. They are losing that power over people. So they said, okay, we must negotiate and try. The negotiations took over a couple of years. In 1985, during those negotiations, they offered him the world. They offered him everything. They said, Mr. Mandela, we will give you whatever you want. We will give you the mansions. We will give you all the cars you want. We will give you all the women you can even think of. If you can convince these people to stop this fight, convince these people to just forget about this freedom, tell them that we are good people, we'll take care of them. There's no freedom, it's our land. So in reply for that, Nelson Mandela wrote a letter to her daughter Zinziswa, the one that just passed away a few days ago on the 13th. May her soul rest in peace, Zinzi Mandela. He wrote a letter that she read public.
So my father, at Polsmoor prison, to obtain his answer to Botha's offer of conditional release. The prison authorities attempted to stop the statement being made, but he would have none of this and made it clear that he would make the statement to you, the people. Throughout our struggle, there have been puppets who have claimed to speak for you. They have made this claim. Both here and abroad. They are of no consequence. My father and his colleagues will not be like them. My father says, I am a member of the African National Congress. member of the African National Congress, and I will remain a member of the African National Congress until the day I die. Oliver Tambo is much more than a brother to me. He is my greatest friend and comrade for nearly 50 years. If there is anyone amongst you who cherishes my freedom, Oliver Tambo cherishes it more, and I know that he would give his life to see me free. There is no difference between his views and mine. My father says, I am surprised at the conditions that the government wants to impose on me. I am not a violent man. My colleagues and I wrote in 1952 to Milan asking for a roundtable conference to find a solution to the problems of our country, but that was ignored. Was in power, we made the same offer. Again, it was ignored. When Verwoerd was in power, we asked for a national convention for all the people in South Africa to decide on their future. This too was in vain. It was only then, when all other forms of resistance were no longer open to us, that we turned to armed struggle. Let Walter show us that he's different to Milan, Strydom, and Verwoerd. Let him renounce violence. Let him say that he will dismantle apartheid. Let him unban the People's Organization, the African National Congress. Let him free all who have been imprisoned, banished or exiled for their opposition to apartheid. Let him guarantee free political activity so that the people may decide who will govern them. I cherish my own freedom dearly, but I care even more for your freedom. Too many have died since I went to prison. Too many have suffered for the love of freedom. I owe it to their widows, to their orphans, to their mothers and to their fathers, who have grieved and wept for them. Not only have I suffered during these long, lonely, wasted years, I am not less life-loving than you are, but I cannot sell my birthright, nor am I prepared to sell the birthright of the people to be free. I am in prison as a representative of the people and of your organization, the African National Congress, which was banned. What freedom am I being offered whilst the organization of the people remains banned?
A very insightful speech, very insightful letter. Mr. Mandela was refusing to sell out his people. He was refusing to be bought by anything publicly for everyone to see. He said he wanted us to have a better future than he had. He wants freedom for everyone. Fast forward to between 1985 now and 1988, he was in and out of hospitals. He was starting to get this kind of lung diseases and stuff, going to Tigerberg Hospital, going to all these kind of hospitals because he was getting old. At that time he was 70 already. March he was 70. So he was getting old, he was getting sick. So in 88, he was transferred to Victor Verster, which is now known as Drakenstein in Paarl. Big prison just outside Paarl in the Eastern Cape. You can come and visit it and see where he was living. I went there. There's a big statue when we got in. I, as a warden, I was working there in Worcester prison, so I went there to check how he was living there, how were the conditions and stuff. He was living in a small house, those houses that are made for the prison warders to stay in. He was staying in that house in the times of negotiations. He was in prison. He couldn't go anywhere. He couldn't do anything. He was getting food from the prison. He was not cooking. He was not doing the groceries. So he was still in prison. So the negotiations went, and he was released in 1990. It was a very, very proud moment for people who was there. I was very young back then, but I saw the videos, I saw the excitement of the people. I watched the movies. I read his book, Long Walk to Freedom. Go and check it out. So, in 1993, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. And in 1994, he became the first black president in South Africa. The first black president. At that time, he was 76, I think. Old man. So now let's talk about was he now a hero, or was he a traitor? Did he sell out? If he did sell out, how did he sell out? If it was you, what were you going to do? If he was a hero, how was he a hero? And in South Africa, we never get our land back, we never got our resources back. Let's get into it just a little bit brief. I will expect to get your comments so we can talk about it. Was Nelson Mandela a hero? Did he go through a lot? Did he lose time away from his family? Did he go to prison and did hard labor to get this freedom? Did he have a choice to get the land back, to chase the white people out of South Africa, to get black people's resources to them, to close all those mines and nationalize them to the government? Yes, he did. What was the best option? Why did he think that it was the best solution to choose peace over war? The peace that he chose, what repercussions that peace came with? Because the peace that he chose came with the repercussions. Whatever they were fighting for, the land back, total freedom, financial freedom, in 1994 that was never achieved. All that was achieved was the illusion of freedom. So I want to hear from you. Was he a sellout? Was he a hero, or was just an old man who had a long horrific life, horrific events that he saw that for us to continue going forward, we need to have peace. Because as an old man, you believe that you want to be a bigger person. You believe that people should live together in harmony. People should have a rainbow nation. People should coexist in a space where there is distrust, in a space there is anger, in a space there is horrific experiences that happened because of certain people who wanted to think that they are above one another. The question still remains. Was it because he thought that he was doing what's best for the country at that time, for us to get a step forward to the freedom? Then whoever was going to come after him was going to be radical enough to nationalize the mines, nationalize the agriculture, nationalize all sectors? It might be. Maybe the one that failed was the one that came after him. Because if you can read the ANC Freedom Charter, spot on. They want the land back, they want to nationalize everything, they want free for all, they want financial freedom, they want all the resources for the people. But in 1994, those were never achieved. People are still living in the dump, people are still living in the houses that where I'm coming from in the Eastern Cape. Those houses are living the pigs. Or even during the time that he was there, they should have convinced him that we're going to nationalize things. But they didn't. They're still fighting for the land up until now. And who owns the land is the government. The government is the one that can take the land if they want to, but they are waiting for the white people to give them the land. They are trying, give us the land back. Please. That's not Mr. Mandela's fault. You have the chance now to go and grab the land. He did his bit. Now it's your time to do your bit. Let's answer the question. Was Mr. Mandela a hero or a sellout? Let's talk about it on the comments. I'm remaining neutral. I shared my piece with that. I hope you're gonna enjoy the video. I hope you did subscribe. If you have not, please do subscribe. Hit that button there and hit the bell and make sure that you receive your notifications. I hope you enjoy it. Please watch the video that is dedicated to Muammar Gaddafi. It's also the same content that we have for this one, and also watch the one that is talking about the China and Africa relationship, the exploitation of Africa by China. Let's fight these people. Let's fight China. Let's fight the West. Let's unite as Africans. Let's create that one Africa with no borders. Let's trade together with economy. Let's do things together as Africans. It's time. Thank you. Fikiria kwa undani, ndugu. Asante. Tsamaku.